In the heart of our village, where the sun kissed the earth each morning, King Bako reigned with an iron fist. His power knew no bounds, and fear clung to the air like dew on leaves. The villagers bowed low, their voices hushed, for questioning the king meant risking their lives. King Bako stood tall, his frame imposing, and his eyes held secrets darker than the night. At 45, he possessed wealth beyond measure, a kingdom of riches that stretched from fertile farmlands to shimmering rivers. His wives, 2 in number, adorned themselves in silks and jewels, their laughter echoing through the palace halls. Electricity hummed in the air, a testament to King Bako's rule. Exotic cars graced the courtyard, gifts from distant lands. The palace, rebuilt by a prodigal son, gleamed with opulence. Tapestries whispered tales of valor, and the scent of polished wood lingered in every room. But King Bako's true legacy lay in education. He decreed that every child, regardless of gender, must ascend to the ivory towers of knowledge. Scholarships flowed like the river, lifting the less fortunate toward enlightenment. Widows found solace in his benevolence during festivals, their burdens. The king reveled in wine. His wives or concubines awaited him, their laughter echoing through the palace. Guards stood watch, ensuring no uninvited soul breached the sanctum. One fateful day, King Bako's eyes fell upon a woman, a vision of grace by the village well. He beckoned his guards, demanding her presence. She trembled, revealing she was a guard's wife. Fear etched her face as the king insisted she follow him. She had no choice, her husband's fate hung in the balance. No one dared defy the king's whims. His right-hand man echoed his desires, and the woman stepped into the palace, her heart heavy. But fate weaves intricate patterns. As moonlight bathed the courtyard, King Bako stepped out, seeking solace in the night. There, he encountered a girl, a beauty untouched by time. His guards obeyed, bringing her forth. As he prepared to claim her, she wept, whispering, "Father, it is I, your daughter." His eyes widened, then he hesitated. "Daughter or wife," he mused, "the choice is yours." And so, he took her, blurring the lines between love and lust, a father and king. News spread like wildfire. The head chief confronted him, eyes ablaze. "Is it true?" he demanded. "Have you sown discord within our walls?" King Bako met his gaze, unyielding. "I am king," he declared. "My desires shape destiny." The village trembled under the weight of King Bako's decisions. His test of loyalty had backfired, and now 8 guards languished in the palace prison. Whispers echoed through the streets, the king's unpredictability had shattered their sense of security. But life moved forward. The next week brought a royal wedding. The daughter of a neighboring king, adorned in beads and silks, stepped into the palace. Zuma, her eyes bright with conviction, pledged herself to King Bako. She saw beyond his flaws, loving the man who dared to defy tradition. The chiefs gathered, their faces etched with uncertainty. Some questioned the god's silence, while others feared the king's wrath. Who were they to challenge fate? And so, they watched as the sacrilege unfolded, the king marrying his own daughter, their bloodline entwined in defiance. At the wedding, the chief priest's voice rang out, a lone descent in a sea of celebration. "Abomination," he cried, casting a spell upon the king. His words carried weight, for the gods listened when priests spoke. The air thickened, and the king's fate hung in the balance. King Bako's inner circle, men who reveled in his wealth, whispered among themselves. They knew his reign teetered on the edge. The gods' judgment loomed, and their loyalty wavered. But they stayed, drawn by greed and fear. The villagers grappled with conflicting emotions. Some believed the gods approved, for the king's benevolence outweighed his sins. Others despised him, their hearts heavy with resentment. Yet, they remained powerless, bound by tradition and fear. And so, King Bako continued his excesses, more wives, more children. He slaughtered cows, showering the village with grains and bounty. The people feasted, their hunger sated, but bitterness lingered. Then came the man who dared to stain his own daughter's innocence. The villagers dragged him to the king, their rage palpable. The girl, tear-streaked, confirmed the crime the man had forced himself upon her. "Will you marry him?" King Bako asked, his voice cold. "No, my king," she replied. The villagers clamored for justice, their anger boiling over. But the king's decree cut through the chaos, a punishment that matched the offense. 5 years of restitution, goats, yams, red oil, and clothes. Failure meant stoning in the market square. As the man stumbled away, burdened by his guilt, the villagers wondered, were the gods silent or vengeful? Was King Bako their protector or their doom? The priest's curse lingering in the air. The pregnant daughter-turned-wife cradled her newborn son, torn between love and duty. The villagers whispered, was this child blessed or cursed? The king showered her with gifts, but envy gnawed at the hearts of the other wives. And then came the first daughter, the king's own flesh and blood. She pampered him, her touch soothing his troubled soul. But her beauty ensnared him, and soon she bore his child. The village gasped, the king's lust knew no bounds. The fair woman with the heavy backside, the one who dared disrespect him, stood at the crossroads. The king's guards had stopped her, and now she faced a choice, concubine or wife. Her defiance angered him, and he gave her an ultimatum. The woman trembled, torn between fear and pride. She sought her husband, the chief, and together they approached the palace. But the king's harsh voice silenced the chief, leaving only the woman to face judgment. "I will be your concubine," she whispered, her eyes downcast. The king's guards barred her husband from entering, sealing his fate. The chief's heart broke, he had failed to protect his wife. In secret, the chiefs convened a desperate council. They knew the madness must end. The king's insatiable desires threatened their homes, their honor. If they remained silent, he would take all their wives. But the king struck first, the chief arrested, rumors of his death spreading like wildfire. The villagers erupted, a revolt, a protest. Stones flew, and the palace entrance burned. The guards, imprisoned for loyalty, were freed, their faces etched with defiance. The king emerged, his eyes ablaze. "Enough," he roared. "I am king." They demanded justice, the release of all guards, the end of his tyranny. And then, the unthinkable, the king's daughter, the one who had pampered him, stepped forward. "Father," she said, "your reign is a tempest." The gods watched, their judgment near. And somewhere beyond so, the unyielding reign of King Bako crumbled, a tapestry of excess, betrayal, and retribution. With the aid of loyal guards, he slipped away into the night, his family in tow. The villagers, their rage unchecked, stormed the palace, but it stood empty, an echo of past tyranny. And then, from the other zone of our community, emerged a new king, the man of humility, wisdom, and compassion. He walked among the people, his feet grounded in the soil, not perched on a throne. His reign was marked by fairness, justice, and respect for tradition. In our kingdom, the legacy of King Bako became a cautionary tale, a reminder that power unchecked leads to ruin. And so, the sun rose on a new era, the tapestry rewoven, threads of hope binding the land. For now, power belonged to the people, the truth etched in every heart, whispered by the wind, and carried across generations. Please like, share, and subscribe for more African stories. Thank you and see you in the next.